learning about history. Why do you need to do that? What's the point on understanding something that already happened? You know, I was like, I want to start telling the world what my country is like. I want to start telling everybody how is it like to be Mexican. It's hard to do it. It's hard if you don't understand exactly how we got here. It's pretty hard to know it. Now, I thought, if I really want to start telling everybody what my country is currently, like how is it going on? It's a pretty hard thing to do. So I thought maybe I should just start studying Mexican history to see how we got to this point. And you know, I'm going to tell you in our 666 today, I'm going to tell you 6 things that I actually believe that I understood of my country by trying to understand what's going on. The first, I would say, history does matter. It really matters. This is the first thing that I thought, and I was wrong. I was definitely wrong. Why? Because I thought, dude, our current president, it's always justifying what he doesn't do because the previous presidents did something so bad that it's impossible for him to change anything. So what's the point of getting to the presidential chair? Right? You've been looking for this place to get to this process. You know, our current president spent 18 goddamn years just pushing us to give him a chance. And we gave him the chance. And as soon as he got to the chair, he just spent the whole time saying that it wasn't his fault. So what's the point? So I decided to study Mexican history to see if it is real. Is it really impossible to change anything? Because nobody has ever changed anything, and nobody seems to care either. So I can tell you, history matters. Not only Mexican history, you have to start. If you really want to understand what's going on with Mexico, you have to start understanding geopolitics. You have to start seeing what's going on outside of this country, because my country is going to react to that thing. Okay, it's always going to react. I'm talking about cycles. Constantly we're going into cycles, repeating the same shit over and over again. I can tell you, we have done the same many times. This is not the first time we are in the deep, shitty, deepest well. You know, it's disgusting to know that maybe there's no way to change anything. The second one is that in Mexico, we think politicians help us. We think they are trying to help us because they tell us they want to help us. This is something that we don't understand. They're not being altruistic at all. They're always protecting their own interests. We haven't gotten one single president, I believe, since the revolution that has actually been worried about us. This is something pretty regular for us. It hasn't changed at all. And the other one, I mean, in the same second reason that we think politicians want to help us, we think they give us money, for example. We actually think they take money out of their pockets to give it to us. Mexican actually think that maybe a mayor, a deputy, a senator is not eating something nice for them to eat something very disgusting. You know, what is really happening is that when we actually vote for somebody, we don't care about their past. Our current president spent almost his entire career, because he's a very old guy, and he spent it criticizing everybody, judging everybody's decisions the whole time, doing strikes for us to see that he was gonna change something. He never changed shit at all. Is it his fault? Or is it the neoliberalism fault? Is it a left? Is it socialism? Is it real? I don't think it is. I just think that they make you feel, all politicians, they make us feel like they are worried about us, right? Like maybe they are worried about white people. Maybe they are worried about brown people. Maybe they are worried about black people. Maybe they are worried about homosexuals. Maybe they are worried about transsexuals. Maybe they don't really give a about us. Maybe. Maybe all of them are the same. Maybe they want to make us feel like we are free, but we're not. We're not free. We have never been free. We have an illusion of freedom, but it's just a damn illusion. It's nothing else. Yeah, you can vote for whoever you want. You are free to have elections. Am I free to have elections? Am I really going to choose somebody that I want? Am I really going to be satisfied? Of course you're not. They don't give a fuck about you. About us. They don't care. It doesn't matter the country. It's the same shit everywhere. Okay? Maybe we could talk about Chinese. Maybe we could talk about Russians. But in the end, we, the people, are the ones who should be worried. The third thing I saw. Damn, we fear what we could find when we learn our past. We are afraid of that. We fear what we could find. Third, we fear what we could find when we learn our past. You know, like, I think almost all of the countries are in the same position. I'm talking to you, gringos. You don't want to know the past. You're scared of the past. I've been searching for so many information, so much information about what you gringos have done. And you know, I'm so surprised that Mexican people don't understand exactly what's going on in our country. But you, being so smart, being the head of the planet, you're just fighting about sexual identity. You're just worried about the current process of freedom. What is that? What is that? The current process of freedom is just freedom for some, not for everyone. And here in Mexico, we are like you. We believe like we are the head of Latin America. We think we are the revolutionaries and shit. We're not. We're not the head of Latin America, just as you're not the head of this continent, and just as you're not the head of this continent, you're not the head of the world. You're not the center of the planet, gringos. And of course, if gringos are in the center of the planet, Mexicans aren't either. Okay? This is something that we fear to know. We are afraid of learning that maybe our boats didn't work. That maybe we have given away so many opportunities for them to fuck us up that we actually think they're not doing it. And it's this fear that creates ignorance, that allows corruption to dig into our systems. They might be talking about something and doing exactly the opposite. And it's the same for almost all the countries that think capitalism is nice. Because we think capitalism is something like freedom, but it's a fake freedom. The fourth is that the Mexican independence is a lie. Don't tell anybody, it's a lie. It's a lie. We never got independent. Kudos to gringos. You actually had an independence. By submitting a country, right? Taking away some liberties, right? That's what you've done. And that's how you built your own country. Did we do the same? Of course we didn't. Let me tell you something about the Mexican independence. It happened September the 16th, 1810, according to our primary education textbooks and shit. The big thing is that our country was conquest, not colonized. They don't like us to call it colonized. It's the same shit. We got conquered. We were conquered by the church, not by the Spanish. It's like saying the United States weren't conquered by the British. They were conquered by the king, by the throne, right? By the British. It's kind of hard. It wasn't exactly England, right? That's the thing. Mexico was taken by the Spanish because they had orders from the church. Spain wasn't autonomous, which it means that they didn't take decisions by their own. They were answering, they were getting their orders from the Vatican. That's why you can actually check. Spain didn't become so rich during the conquest, but the Vatican did. Between 1524 and 1810, there is like a black cloud that we have never studied. We are afraid of learning that maybe the church has always had this country submitted, oppressed by ideals that had stopped us from growing as a country. We have blamed God from everything we don't know. And we have blamed the politicians from everything we don't have. We haven't done enough to grow, just as most countries haven't done it either. Why is it a lie? Well, because the guy who started the independence was a priest. Sounds pretty dumb, right? Dude, are you telling me that your country was colonized by the church and then your independence was given by a priest? Well, no, I'm not only telling you that. I'm also telling you that the Mexican independence was run under a Guadalupe's Virgin flag, which was the symbol they used to oppress us. You know, they oppressed us with that symbol. And we got our independence using that symbol. Using a priest. Just I don't know, man. Just imagine Martin Luther King being white and saying that was freedom. Is this a good option? Do you care about it? Because it is. It was a lie. Nobody was searching for balance when the independence started. Some people wanted to have more power than other ones. And that's what they got. They called it independence for us to feel free. Just as the United States is not a free country because they depend on all the rest of the countries. But your independence is real because you did with your country whatever you wanted. And you based it upon our suffering. And about the conquest, maybe because that's another thing. From 1524, there is Hernán Cortés killing people in the name of Christ. To 1810, a priest setting this country free from oppression. That's the moment when the most beautiful part of this country was built. If you want to come, you want to see Guanajuato, you want to see Guadalajara, you want to see Monterrey, you want to see Mexico City, and you want to find all of these beautiful places that we built. Like if they had been built by jobs, they didn't build jobs. The church actually saw that this country didn't need slaves. Slaves were too expensive for us. So we started using ideals to enslave the people. We were actually charging people to work. That's a thing we called as diezmo. So if in the United States you think slavery was bad, you should definitely know about Mexican kind of slavery, which was very different kind of slavery. They say Mexican didn't want slaves. Of course they didn't need slaves. We didn't need slaves. And when we're talking about the native people living over here, just for you to know, out of 20 million indigenous people living over here, 19,300,000 died by typhoid and smallpox. Which it means that most of us are actually Spanish. And when you're worried about what happened to the Mayans, stop being worried. They died by the sword or by a parasite. Spanish, or sorry. So, independence is a lie. Maybe the real independence came with Benito Juarez because he took the power out of the church, but he just did it to give the power to American people because we owed them money for saving this country from the French. And that's exactly the reason why they celebrate Cinco de Mayo more over there than over here. We don't even celebrate that day. The fifth, PRI, Partido Revolucionario Institucional. Record this name in your head. Institutional Revolutionary Party. We're going to be talking a lot about this party in this channel. Because this party was the most important party in my country during 70 years. It actually was the only party in the country. PRI was a gringo creation. What? That's a lie. That's not a lie. It's not something that they say. It's not something that we care. It's not something that we know. It's not something. It's just, it's what it is. And that's it. And I can tell you, I think this actually requires a cigarette. It's getting hot in here. Fucking hate this shit. Every time I want to explain this shit, man, my belly grows even more. I'm a big, fat, white Mexican dude. Like they like to represent PRI people here in my country. Like if they were actually like that. PRI is maybe one of the most disgusting things that has ever happened to this country. If we are, most of us are agreed on something, is that these guys were actually pigs. They're still there. But the thing is that we don't know how PRI was created. We like to think that it was our fault. And I have spoken with enough people to know that what I'm telling you, it's true. You know, after the Mexican Revolution, I thought that the Mexican Revolution wasn't so important. I thought it wasn't so interesting. I thought it didn't matter so much. Why? Because they made me think that. They made me think that the Mexican Revolution wasn't so important. It wasn't like Berlin Wall's falling, you know. It was more like people wanted to have better governments. I studied the Mexican history from the conquest to the Mexican Revolution, and let me tell you something. If there was a moment when this country had great rulers, it was in the Mexican Revolution. I can tell you names. Porfirio Díaz, and then Francisco y Madero, and then Victoriano Huerta, and then Venustiano Carranza. All of these names I just gave you were good presidents. Or at least they had good intentions. They were fighting between them all. And the people who were supporting them, every time they were insurrecting, they were all fought for their ideals. They all fought against the next president. Because we hate to wait. And gringos know that we know that. So they realized that they could keep making us feel that they were trying to do something bad to us. And they were giving weapons to create new insurrections until they put the president they wanted. And I'm talking about like a million and a half people that died by gringo weapons. Where did they get the weapons? From the United States, dude. And then you have characters like Emiliano Zapata, like Pancho Villa, All of these people that were very poor people with no ideas, but just with a big heart. And they all died. All of them died. PRI, according to Mexican history and primary school textbooks, was created by a man called Plutarco Elías Calles, who came after Álvaro Obregón. And I'm telling you this, PRI wasn't exactly consolidated. It was maybe built by Plutarco Elías Calles out of Álvaro Obregón's ideals. But it was consolidated, built, managed, created entirely by Lázaro Cárdenas del Río. Now, Lázaro Cárdenas del Río in this country, it's a big deal. He's one of our founding fathers. He's one of the idols we have, one of the few that we can actually say that was a good president, or that's exactly what we think. Most of us. Lázaro Cárdenas put all of the revolutionary people in one single political party. They put all the striking groups into one single cookie jar. And, well, that was the beginning. That was the beginning of what is our present. That's why we never had another revolution until 1968, when some college boys, some college students, boys and girls, they had a big strike. They were trying to boycott the Olympics happening in Mexico in 1968, and the president at the time, Gustavo Díaz Ordaz, according to the popular idea, he sent a bunch of military to kill these students because they were trying to boycott, sabotage his Olympics. You know, this is a big lie. This is a big lie too. It comes with the PRI being a gringo creation. There's actually a great TV show in Prime Video. You can actually watch it. Nobody cares about watching it here back in Mexico. We should all be watching it. It's called Un extraño enemigo, which it means a strange enemy. It's a piece of our national anthem. And that show is about a guy called Fernando Gutiérrez Barrios. You should definitely look for this guy. Nobody knows in this country about him. But it was a guy who was working in the federal government since 1964 until like the 2000s. I'm talking about like 40 years of being trained on the deepest corruption a country has ever seen. Including what we called the Tlatelolco massacre, La Matanza de Tlatelolco. It happened October the 2nd, 1968. We like to say, 2 de octubre no se olvida, which it means October the 2nd will never be forgotten. And it's not even a free day for us, it's not a leisure day. I guess it's not good for us to remember it, right? But in reality, we all think that these university students were so out of their minds that out of nowhere, military started killing all of them. Like, hey, we should kill them just to shut their mouths. Hey, yeah, let's kill them. And they did. Right. When you see this show, you should definitely watch it if you're interested on this shit. You see that this guy actually was who manufactured, who planned not only the massacre, but the massacre was a way to fix a problem that didn't exist. They made the university students to go against the government for them to build a way for the next president to be Luis Echeverría, who actually killed the students It wasn't Gustavo Díaz Ordaz, the current president at the time. It was Luis Echeverría, who was going to be the next president. And people, innocent people, were caught, as always, between a fight of power between these ignorant, selfish pigs that we've always had. It's sad. It's sad to know that the reason, the cause for these students was a lie. It didn't come out of them. It came out of the government. And then, we just talk about people who died in there in Tlatelolco. We should definitely be talking about all the people that Luis Echeverría, the next president, the real guy who manufactured all of this, he killed a lot of people just for the truth never to come out. And this is always the same, dude. This hasn't changed at all. And the sixth and last, ignorance has become into a weapon to submit my people into chaos. It's hard to explain it, but it shouldn't be, because we're all in the same. Okay? Let me give you an example. We are trying to fix the drug problem, the problem with the cartels, using pesos. Okay? We are fighting a problem with pesos. A problem that became so big out of dollars. It's impossible to fight that shit. Especially when your neighbors love drugs so much. Right? And I would love to have a president to tell you straight this reality, but I don't have it. So I'm just going to try to do it for you. This is not our problem. This is not something that we built. This is an infrastructure selling, working for services just specifically to cover your needs. I can't explain it any other way. But the biggest problem is that we don't know this. We actually believe we are guilty because people are dying in your country. More people die in this country because of the violence out of drugs than the quantity, the amount of people that dies in Ukraine because of the war with Russia. How many businesses have become so big out of drugs? If we stop making drugs, growing drugs, selling you, cooking fentanyl for you to have a nice weekend, if we stop doing it, how many people are going to stop selling weapons? All of your senators, all of your deputies, both of your parties. I love Joe Rogan. He said something so nice. He said, like, how Americans are. Like, they choose a Republican president to generate a bunch of problems that then when they feel bad about it, they choose a Democrat president to do exactly the opposite. Is this really going to work? It's never going to work. Because you go to the extremes. They make you feel you're changing something. You're not. And the fact that my country is ignoring your game is drowning us into violence, into fights we don't need, we don't have, we don't require. We have to start thinking with our heads, not with our hearts. We have to start voting for changes, not for people we don't know. We have to start doing the changes for them not to change the play. You know? It's like writing a script from the bottom to the top. Because if you want them to change it from the top to the bottom, from the top, it's impossible to see to the bottom. They don't use your subway, they don't use the bus, they don't use the same health institutions we do. They don't have the same car, they don't live in the same neighborhood, but they choose that. This is a mess. And while that's going on, she's transsexual. She doesn't want to be called he. But does that matter? We are in the middle of a war. Your country is about to face the worst economical situation ever. And you're still fighting because of those stupid things? Really? And now you want to call terrorists the cartels for you to what? Make with Mexico what you did with Libya? Do the same you did with Syria? Do the same you did with Iraq? Wherever gringos go, it's like a fucking tornado going through. They smash all of it. And now we want you to come and fix us. Come on, dude, come on. You already screwed us enough. So please, you want to help us? Try not to drug so much, right? Try not to go high so much. Try not to fight with your people. Start studying. Okay? Try not to feel so much better and bigger than everybody else. Try not to feel so... Oh, Mexicans are coming to steal our jobs. Mexicans aren't going to steal your jobs. They are running away from the circumstance that allows you to live like a fucking queen and then become into the drama queen because you want to be a girl and you're a man. Oh, that's so sad. Oh my God. Oh, really? You're sad. Is that the thing? You have kids killing themselves in the schools, but you're worried about that. Haven't you seen that maybe talking about it is creating a problem that you just can't fix? Maybe talking about racism is giving you racism, right? Maybe talking about bad things is giving you bad things. Maybe you should start changing what it is. Maybe you should start dealing with reality because your reality is so nice and you're afraid of losing it. We are all in the same game. We're all in the same boat. We might talk. We might speak different languages. But we are one single entity. And as we fight between us, we're never going to grow. Dying people are people, not statistics. A man who dies is just as painful as a woman who dies. A man was a father of a girl. A girl was the daughter of a man. A Mexican was American once until they took his country away. A black person was African until somebody took him overseas and made him work for the white people. Then he became a slave. He was never a slave. We started thinking that some people deserve some good things and some people deserve bad things. But in the end, we're all in the same boat. Ignorance is a weapon used by the governments to make us think that they care about us. Tragedies were built to justify interventions. And those interventions were created to give you the life that you're so offended because maybe I'm trashing on it, I don't know. This was From Mexico to the World, over and out.